All right. Hello, everyone. It's Mark. Hope everyone is enjoying their Friday. Welcome to another Greenbridge Investing market analysis. This is a live stream, so if you have a market or a stock or a symbol that you'd like to see, please share it in the chat now so that once I complete my portion of the analysis, we can take a look at the stock or the market that you want to see. All right, so let's get this thing started. All right, with that being said, this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. All right, now let's begin with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's had a lot of interesting action, and I just want to review a few things here. Obviously, if you're a member at Greenbridge, you pretty much know because we update this every day in our chat room on what's going on here. So our members are usually much better prepared. But if you are not, then you may be wondering what's going on. So let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, if you look at this blue box that I have here at the top of the chart, that's a reversal zone boundary. And that's basically a high probability location for a fake out. If price cannot push through that area and close solidly above, I can't talk today, then basically you're likely to get caught in a fake out. Hey, Christian, thanks for joining me. Nice to see you. I hope you figured out that chat room question that you had earlier. So, again, there's the problem with Bitcoin right now is, for one, you see this 18,500 inflection point, this line on my chart. That was a projection that I had done previously. And as you can see, the market went there, but it just didn't turn around like right at the level. Okay, these levels are never exact things, so you can't expect something like that. But it is gyrating around the area. That's one sign that we need to pay attention to. The other sign is obviously the 20K resistance. That's a psychological number. We couldn't break that number back in December of 2017, and we're having a problem with it right now. We had a selling candle, just a couple of days ago, followed by this red candle today. Now we had two inside bars in between, which basically this is where this kind of situation lures lots of longs. This is what you need to understand. There was news at the beginning of the week or something like that. Some company was interested in Bitcoin again. I don't know, some nonsense hype. Okay, and that's basically what led to this type of action here. So what this does is this lures people who chase action. They don't know how to measure risk. They don't understand the probabilities of the market, and they're willing to take any trade signal. They don't know the difference between a low probability one and a high probability one. So this whole area is just problematic. Now, does that mean this thing is going to pull back for sure? No, there's no way to know exactly. But here's the thing. I don't sit here and make these ridiculous predictions that you'll find online or on YouTube or wherever, because no one really knows. This is a probability game. So all we can do is measure risk, right? And that is what our focus is on, not chasing rewards, not chasing action. If you really want to make money in this game, you have to look at your behavior. Is your behavior that of someone that's chasing stuff all the time? If that's the case, then you don't really want to make money based on your behavior. We want to see a test of a support level. Right now, the support levels are around 16,000 to 17,000. All right. It doesn't mean that if it goes there, we just jump in. Because it went back here. Yeah, this could have been a decent trade. But again, the risk in the general area is high. That's why we were not quick to jump on something like this. We'd rather let it go. Right now, if we can retest the 17,000 area, or maybe the 16,000s, wherever Bitcoin decides to find support, and we get our setup and our confirmation, that would be a high probability trade. Why? It would be a double bottom or possible failed low. It's possible we even get a higher low, and we're open to the higher low. Okay, I'm open to it if we can get it. But this here is way too high. I'm not taking any trades up here, even if it breaks out. Now, it can break out. The fact that we're not getting dramatic selling off of this price action, because usually if something is weak or if something touches a major resistance, usually you get a swift rejection, something like this. Okay, but we're not getting that here at the moment. Doesn't mean it won't come, but my point is this. If it breaks higher, then the only thing we can do is wait for an adjusted pullback and measure risk from there. That's the plan with Bitcoin. Now, people, they come here, they want to hear me say, oh, Bitcoin's going to 24K next week. I mean, that's what they want to hear. That inspires hope. But we are only interested in risk, okay? And hope doesn't help pay the bills, I can tell you that. So we want to see a pullback to a better level, and that's all we can do here. We've been waiting. November, there were 5 trades, okay? I shouldn't say trades, I'm sorry. There were 5 signals in November, and we forfeited all 5 of them. If we had taken all 5, we would have gotten stopped out of 2 of them at least over here in this move, all right? And I think the results would have been maybe slightly over break even, or maybe even in the red slightly, okay, because of what our average reward tends to be relative to what we risk. So it's not worth going through all the trouble if you're just going to come out break even. I mean, what's the point, right? So we want high probability, and that's why our record is green, because we wait for these. We had 2 great trades in October. We participated in one of them. The other one we shared. And, you know, those are great trades. You don't have to trade more to be consistent in this game. In fact, it's the opposite. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Now, on this note, I want to show you something else, right? Let's look at these altcoins, because people ask about these, and people who don't realize that these take their lead from Bitcoin, just like a stock takes its lead typically from the S&P, if it's a correlated stock. Not all stocks take its lead from the S&P or Nasdaq, but Bitcoin and these altcoins are pretty much in that relationship. So if Bitcoin doesn't make the move, your altcoin is most likely not going to make the move unless there's some special news. If there's special news, a chart is not going to help you be in that move, okay? Typically, the news is planned, and in this game, because there's no regulation in this particular space, insiders can get in way before you, because they know probably about the news in advance when it's going to come out, and there's nothing that says that that's wrong in that game. If you try doing that with stocks and they catch you, that's insider trading. Okay, so my point is this: Litecoin, double top. Okay, again, if Bitcoin fails, you think this thing's going to rally? So you have to wait. You have to use Bitcoin for your cue. And again, something on like Litecoin, you want to see a pullback to this old support, or perhaps a higher low as well. But Bitcoin needs to confirm. Okay, let's take a look at some other ones real quick. XRP, which has been very popular. Everyone likes XRP. I mean, it's range bound now. And this is consolidation. That's what this is. And should we be surprised? No. This thing takes its lead from Bitcoin as well. So should you buy into this right now? No. This is a red candle. Should you have bought the inside bar over here? No, because Bitcoin has not given the signal. Okay, when Bitcoin gives the signal, this will likely follow. So taking signals on these altcoins is pretty much not very effective thing to do, because you can get random signals in these things. All right, another one that's very popular. Let's take a look at something like let's see, Monero, XMR USD. Again, let me know what symbols you'd like to see in the chat now while I'm going through this. Any stocks or any Forex pairs, any CFDs, let me know. Here, let's take a look at this here. So Monero, right? This one was actually outperforming. Looks like it's found a resistance at this 133 area. Look at this candle right here, red candle today. If Monero was on its own, I would look to short this, okay? I would definitely look to short something like this, but we don't short altcoins or Bitcoin. We short other markets, but not this particular space. I've mentioned why many times. But my point is this. This looks like a sell signal developing. If it takes out the low of today's candle or the low of yesterday's candle, you'll have a bearish move in play, and it's coming off of a pretty significant resistance area. This thing is range bound. Now, is shorting this really a smart idea if you guys are into shorting these things? Well, this is a strong market. Look at the previous structure. It's pretty strong. Okay, higher lows and higher highs. We're consolidating. Shorting this is extremely aggressive, although it can pay something, right? If you're only looking for a small bite, perhaps back into the middle of the range, maybe a test of somewhere near the low. But the more effective thing to do is to wait for the range low and buy it there when you get a signal, okay? Of course, Bitcoin needs to confirm. This even Monero doesn't trade on its own. All right, so I just wanted to point a few of those things out. Now look at all these other, I'm going to point out a garbage coin here, Wabi. I don't know if you're familiar with Wabi, but you know, back in the day when all these coins were popular, you know, they all have promise, right? Oh, this is going to do this is going to solve that problem, blah, blah, blah. What a lousy looking chart. Look at this chart, okay? Bitcoin is on its high and this thing is struggling. This is an example of something you should not be in, okay? So if your chart looks something like this, then what this is saying is there's no capital flowing into it. It's not taking out resistances. Now, hope sets in and you're like, oh, but it's making higher lows. It's recovering. It's relatively weak because Bitcoin is, relatively speaking, is way up here and this thing is not even making any progress. So if Bitcoin pulls back, a significant pullback, which can happen, okay, it can go back to 16 or 15K. It's possible. Where's this thing going to go? All right, so it's something to keep in mind. All right, so that's what I wanted to say about Bitcoin and the altcoins. Now, I want to move on to the S&P and Nasdaq real quick because I want to get through a few stocks. Again, if you have any stocks you'd like to see, please share them in the chat now. Now, before I do that, I want to point out one more thing. Here's our website, greenbridgeinvesting.com. Okay, if you go to our pricing page, this is what you will see right now. Okay, the reason why I'm pointing this out right now and I'm making a big deal out of it is because our prices haven't changed yet, but they're going to. If you see this, right, our active investor and Dave's aggressive stocks, right now, this is our month-to-month membership for $39.99 per month. We're no longer going to offer this, okay? So we're not going to have monthlies anymore. We're going to have the 6-month and yearly only. The reason is because in order to really benefit from our strategies, which look to capture broader moves, they take time. And you can't join for like a month and expect to really get any kind of meaningful results. Most of our members that have great results have been with us 2 years, okay? People like Alice, people like Michael, people like Irina and Fonz, and there's so many others, right? But they weren't with us just a month. So that's why we're no longer going to offer that. But here's the thing. If you sign up for it and you want to keep it before we make the change, then you can keep the month to month because we're not going to take it away from people that have it, okay? Same with these other packages. 6 month, you could see it's $179.99 for both. This is going to go up, okay? This is going to go basically up to $299 for 6 months, which comes to $50 a month. But this is obviously cheaper than $50 a month. This is like, what, $35 a month or something like that, or $30 a month. You can lock this in right now. You know, this is Cyber Sales Week. So you can lock this in right now before we change it. And same with the yearly, right? This $239 is going up to $399. So again, that's going to average to about $33.25 per month for the year if you pay up front. But this price right here is basically $20 a month. So you can get this again right now. We have a 7-day free trial. I suggest you check it out because the prices are going to change. People ask when. You know when they're going to change? Next week. So by Wednesday, these prices will no longer be available. I'm just letting you know now. I just want to put that out there. Okay, so no more promotional stuff. Let's get back to analysis. Now again, let me know if you have any questions about anything. We do have a 7-day free trial, like I said, and you can check that out at greenbridgeinvesting.com. Now, let's go take a look at the stock market, and let's begin with the S&P 500. Now, today's Friday, right? The stock market's going to close in about 45 minutes. Today we had NFP earlier, 8:30 a.m., and NFP had come out much lower than expected. There was no initial reaction from the stock market. And look, the S&P is up 21 points today. What is up with that? The S&P has taken out another significant resistance level. Looks like it's going to close above it. No sell-off into the close. Okay, well, we still have 45 minutes. Things can change. But the thing is, there are many stocks that are leading this. You have to be careful here. And here's why. Just like I showed you with Bitcoin, in that reversal zone. Hey, Benny, no problem. There's a reversal zone up in here too. And we're just getting into it now. So what that means is there's still a good chance that this can fake out, okay? And you don't want to get caught in this. Why is this important? What if you're like, I don't trade the S&P, who cares? Give me a stock to trade. Well, here's the thing. Many stocks follow the S&P. So if the S&P has a dramatic pullback, your stock is likely to feel the pain. So it's a very good idea to use the S&P as a timing gauge, just like using Bitcoin to help time altcoins, right? Especially whether it's a swing trade or an investment, you should know the difference by now. It's important to have a broader market or a broader gauge to help timing. So this is in a tough spot. It's very vulnerable, and it can come out of nowhere, especially on a Friday to a Monday. Next thing you know, some news comes out, no one expected, blah, 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 and this thing gets hammered, right? It's in that type of location. So do we want to go crazy with longs here? No, we've been taking profits. For those of you that are in our chat room, you see Andrew's been sending out emails, close position on this, trim off of that, right? You don't see us sending out lots of swing trades right now for stocks. I mean, we still have a few. There's still opportunity out there, but we're not going nuts, as you see, right? We're being more and more conservative because we know that this is a high risk area. A place to be looking for stock trades it's going to be in this entire area right here. Okay, so that's going to be from like 35, 39 to possibly 3,400. Can it pull back that far? Anything is possible. It's not about, when will it do that? It's about if. Now, if it doesn't do it and we break out, because, it is an optimistic time of year and it's possible that this could be the Santa rally, all right? And what we have to do in that situation then is wait for whatever pullback it will provide, which could be a retest of the 3675 old resistance, which can become a new support. So those are the scenarios that you must be prepared for. There's no absolute. You can't not think in absolutes. Now, let's take a look at the Nasdaq. Hey, HS, nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. If you have any stocks, let me know. Christian, well, thank you, Christian. I appreciate that. Yeah, we work very hard and we're very committed. I mean, Andrew's in there every day, sharing all kinds of ideas and insight and perspective, whether it's portfolio stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of portfolio trades going on, which is long term. Now, look at the Nasdaq. So again, we had a lousy NFP, and these markets are not selling off. Okay, so that was the opportunity to start a sell-off, and we didn't get one. All right, so whether people are waiting for something else, whatever that means, I mean, the market is obviously resilient, but this is not a place to be throwing a party. Okay, look at this Nasdaq. It's inside of this area here. This is a reversal zone. So notice the candles. Another thing I want to point out. Notice these candles. These are narrow range. I mean, yesterday, look at today. Look at yesterday. I mean, look at the day before, another inside bar. Those are narrow range candles. Volume is obviously less, and no one is taking any major positions here. What are they waiting for? Okay, what's the problem here? Where are the large players that move markets? So, this means a lot of stocks are not participating, just a small group that's helping it move along. All right, so I want to take a look at some specific stocks that were mentioned. So for one, and yeah, I'll take a look at AMD. Thanks, Benny. Hey, Alice, nice to see you. So let's take a look at a couple of stocks that could be leading the way here. Qualcomm, look at this. Look at this candle today. Okay, it's a heavyweight in the Nasdaq, right? Or wherever it's S&P or Nasdaq. I don't know which one it's in. But look, here you go. That's quite a move. What are some of the other leaders here today? Let's see. Microsoft. Look, nothing coming out of Microsoft. What else do we have? AVGO, right? Another look at this one. Okay, so Broadcom pushing those highs. What's another one that's been going nuts here? Let's see. See, Adobe. I think Adobe's going nuts too. Oh no, not Adobe. Probably the semiconductor index, right? Let's see. Look at that. The semiconductor index. So that's probably what's pushing this market along. Semiconductors, TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. Oh, what a surprise. Now, can you touch these things up here? No. These things are basically a reflection of the S&P and the Nasdaq. They're just as high risk. Now, in these situations, I mean, great looking chart, but this is a high risk area. Like I said, the mainstream news is going to talk about, Taiwan Semiconductor today up $4, up 4%, new highs on the world, and everything is going great, and blah, 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 and now's the time to invest. And let's talk to this expert here who's going to tell us what we should invest in over the next year, blah, 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 right? you can't touch these things because you don't want to buy highs, you want to buy lows when they're hated. As you all know, we had some nice moves in like the electric vehicle stocks and a few other ones. Energy, Andrew was bullish on energy way before everyone else, and now it's paying off. But energy was hated, right, not too long ago. Like VLO, look at this. This is another thing that'll drive the S&P, by the way, because the S&P is weighted. There's a significant weight of energy stocks in the S&P. Look at this. Can you buy this thing now? No. We were involved in this when it was hated. You know, back here, not too long ago, these things were pushing lows, right? And people say, oh, it's a bearish trend, blah, 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 right? Now look at this thing. So anyway, you can't touch these now. The point is, I just want to point out where this fluff may be coming from, or where this capital may be coming from, because many stocks, right, like Amazon, is Amazon participating? No. Is Facebook participating? No, that's not participating. That's still range bound. How about Netflix? Is that participating? No. So the FANG stocks, well, what's going on here? How about Apple? Is it participating? That's not participation. What is that? That's a range. So you have to understand, if these things are holding back, what's the problem, right? There's something strange going on here, or there's these things are, it's a mixed signal. So that adds to the argument that we're in a vulnerable area and you must be careful with your stocks. So what does this mean for people with investments? Look, it's a good time to maybe trim some off, lock in some portion. Maybe you don't want to for tax reasons. Okay, fine, but be prepared for the pullback. You can buy a put, or you can buy puts to, to hedge yourself against some of your portfolio if you want to do that. If you're going to buy a put, it probably makes sense to buy, some time and deep out of the money or something like that, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's like buying insurance, okay? Or I guess you could buy front month ones as long as they're cheap, and if it pulls back, it'll protect you. You could do stuff like that so you don't have to sell the stock. But if you're in a swing trade, you should be locking stuff in. Look, I want to go over a couple that we had on recently. Look at Sunrun. This was a trade of the week that we sent out a few weeks ago, and almost touched target one right here. In fact, someone of our chat room exited on her own. Smart move, because it came like within less than 10 cents of target one. And I always tell people, if it comes within a few cents and you see a problem, just get out. But it's not always easy to do because it may do it while you're not looking. Anyway, anyone that was able to do that, great job. Now it gave back everything here, right? I mean, where's the stop on this thing? 51.50, and we're fooling around at 57.18. The question in the chat room was, do we give up on this thing? Do we buy it now? What's the story? I know that there was some negative news with tariffs or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. I don't pay attention to that. The thing is, it's pulled back into support area. I'm staying with it, okay? There's a stop in place for a reason. If it stops out, it stops out. But a lot of times when you're banging out in these situations, well, this thing looks horrible. That's usually the bottom, right? Now, at this moment, there's no reason to buy this thing. There's no pin bar. All we have is a support, okay? We're not even taking out any previous day highs. So nothing to do there, but let it find its support and let it turn. This, if anything, could be a consolidation, okay? Because it did not make a lower high, and hopefully it doesn't make a lower low, which means it would be inside of a range, which is fine with me, okay? Because when it goes back to the range high or tests the range high, that's a chance to get out, or perhaps it breaks that range high and goes a little higher, but that's what I would be waiting for. Another one that got hammered earlier in the week was Nikola. Now look at this. So there was some negative news on this. Got hammered. But if you notice, it found support in those 16s and 17s again. Like, look, 1745 low. What's this low over here? 1667. And it's been holding. Now, it doesn't look great. This is no reason to buy this thing here because this momentum can continue. But if the structure changes, okay, kind of like what happened back here, if the structure, if it stabilizes over the next few weeks, this thing may be a buying opportunity again. I like stocks that get beat up like this, especially if they're decent. I mean, it's what their deal with GM, okay, whatever. I don't follow that stuff, right? I'm looking at the structure because there's a lot of things going on inside of these companies, or that insiders know that they're going to bet their money on because they have much better information than we do, and that will be reflected in the chart. Okay, that's the footprints that I'm looking for. Something like Workhorse. I mean, this thing, they all got hammered on this news. Workhorse is very jumpy, though. I don't like the situation here, so I would wait for something like that. The one I'm watching carefully is FUV, which is Arkimoto. and I like the general structure. Nice, swift to move higher. It just needs to stabilize here, but once it can, this one is a good candidate for a swing trade. I would also maybe even think about an options trade, you know, an out of the money options trade, sort of like Nicola, where you buy like $10 or $15 out, you buy 6 months out, and you get it real cheap, like maybe a couple of dollars, maybe less. And if this thing can have another swift move or even close, that option could be worth something. Not everyone likes that strategy. Some people would rather have a higher delta and buy like an in the money option or at the money with time, which is going to be a lot more expensive. But if the stock goes your way, then you know you're getting more closer to 1-to-1, right? That's all. That's a function of your delta. All right. So anyway, that's what I'm looking for in there. A couple of other ones I want to point out. Groupon. Groupon. This was a trade that we sent out to our members a few weeks ago as well. Target 3 is 35.50. What's today's high? 34.32. So wow, we came close, right? We came close. Nice, strong close. I mean, haven't closed yet, but this is what you want to see. Look at this beautiful chart. Even with this nonsense pullback here, right? Beautiful, beautiful. So this is likely going to reach our third target. It just needs to push a little through this resistance area here, which can happen, you know, in the next few days. So especially with this momentum. So that's what we want to see. Even if it doesn't, we're only in 1/3 the position because we locked in profits 2 times on this thing, right? That's the kind of thing you want to see. You want to be reducing risk on the way higher while all the, you know, the uninformed investors and participants are piling into this thing. We want to distribute risk, right? Not add risk in these situations. But we're in from here. We're in from this bottom, right? That's where we got in from. So let's talk about, I think I pretty much covered them all. STNG, I wanted to point this out. I mentioned this in the chat room earlier today. Look at the structural change. This is a tanker, Scorpio Tankers. Obviously, it's an energy play, oil, and got this nice higher low established, looking to make that higher high. This is what you want to see as when you want to say a bottom is in, we can now argue that a bottom is in because you have the initial move higher followed by a potential pullback, which reversed right away. All right, I'm just pointing that out because that's what you want to see for those type of situations, especially when you're trying to buy during a pullback and you buy it a little too early, right? A lot of times you're not going to get the bottom, but you're better off waiting for these situations. A couple other ones real quick. BLNK, Blink. Now this one Andrew mentioned today. I believe he sent out a trade idea on this. So, I mean, he was on this a while back too. I remember this one mentioned. Look at these crazy moves, right? This thing was like basically $10 and it went to $34 in just a matter of days. So this obviously Blink charging. They're part of the electronic vehicle situation there. So kind of like FUV, right? What's another one? FCell. Look at FCell. Well, that's a mess. How about Plug Power? Plug. Look at Plug, right? I'd like to see some stability here. So keep an eye on these. This is what we're watching. And this is what I think where there's still opportunity to get involved in some things, okay? But it's nice to find things that are being hated or things that are pushing their lows. I mentioned one in the chat earlier today. It was called HMI. Now look at this. Again, this is one of those situations, no one's paying attention to this right now. So if this thing pushes into this blue box area here, that's a failed low. Look at this range going all the way back to June. Look at this range, okay? When these things pop off their range, they're worth something. Those are ideal swing trades. So something to keep on your radar. All right, so those are the things I wanted to cover. I'm going to get to the chat here in a moment. So thank you all for sharing your ideas that you want to see. Let me show you real quick. Let's just jump over to gold because we're watching gold stocks also very carefully. Gold this week had the bounce, part of it. This is the initial move. You see that? So gold has been tough because it's been, you know, pulling back and pulling back, shaking people out. How can this be? Fundamentally, gold should be strong. You know, you heard my talk about this thing on the Talking Market show. So we have the initial move. Okay, that's a start. Were we able to get the bottom of this? No, there was really no signal there. It just went. Now, we're getting a little hesitation. Perhaps we get the pullback leg, okay? If we get the higher low, we can look for a swing trade in gold or the gold stocks, all right? So just wanted to mention that real quick. All right, so let's get to the chat here. You like an HMI, right, Kev? Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's Another one that we got. I never officially shared it, but I know DJ got in on it. Was NYCB, and it was the same idea. NYCB went from like $7. It's now pushing over 10, and the options were so cheap on that thing that it was ridiculous, right? And we're talking like 6 month or 1 year options. They were ridiculously cheap, and that's the kind of thing you want to look for. All right. So let's get to the chat here. And by the way, before I do, if you're new to the Greenbridge Investing channel, please make sure you press the like button if you like the video. Otherwise, I get discouraged and I don't think people like what I'm doing. Also, register for the channel. So every time I do one of these, you get an email notification from YouTube. And check out greenbridgeinvesting.com. I just showed you before, we're changing our prices. It's going to happen by Wednesday. So you have your chance. You have a 7-day free trial. You could try it out. If you like it, you have your chance to lock in all the packages that we have right now, because we're not going to raise our prices on our members. Only people that subscribe after we change the prices. All right, so I just wanted to mention that real quick. All right, so let's get to the chat here. And again, thank you everyone for sharing your ideas. Let me see. So Benny, could you please check AMD? Yeah, so AMD is a market stock. Obviously, it's a semiconductor leader. We had a trade in that a while back. I haven't removed it from my chart. I believe this trade actually stopped out, this trade back here. So AMD is on its highs, okay? Look at this, look at the resistance here. Now, I don't know if you're in AMD. If you're in it, then at this point, hopefully you've taken some profit along the way off of this nice move, okay? From that November, I mean, just a month ago, it was at a low. Here we are at the high, right? So hopefully you've locked in some profits along the way. Is this thing going to break the resistance? Well, it's trying, but it's in a vulnerable area, just like the S&P. If the Nasdaq and S&P pull back, this will pull back. This is a market stock, okay? So it's going to look very similar. I mean, this looks like the S&P move, that we've been seeing. And you're getting a little hesitation up here. You had a pin bar the other day, followed by a red candle, and today it's trying to recover. Okay, but very vulnerable area. I would not buy AMD here. If you're not in it, I would not buy it. I wouldn't buy it for a swing trade. I wouldn't buy it for an investment. Okay, so the high probability areas are going to be, at this point, you could look at slightly below the middle of the range, right around here, 82s, somewhere in the 82s, if it provides that opportunity, or back to the range low, which is what, 74. It's hard to believe at this point that it will go there, but you have to just be open to the idea. Anything is possible. All you need is some negative news, and next thing you know, I can't believe this thing's pushing 74. It was at almost 100, just, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So you want to look at the high probability locations. Like I tell our members, we have a swing trade strategy, right, which we use for Bitcoin, we use it for stocks, we use it for everything, currencies, and it starts with one thing, and that's location, because that's where the probability is going to be measured from. From the location, there needs to be a setup. And after the setup, there needs to be confirmation. If those criteria are not met, I don't care where it goes. I am not interested. Okay? Bitcoin, we missed from 15,000 to 20K, no trades because the location was inadequate. Were we wrong? Well, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin went higher. But the main question to ask is, did we lose money throughout that entire move? The answer is no. We didn't lose anything. Right? The money in our account is still there. Meanwhile, you have people shorting it, you have people jumping in all over the place, and we didn't have to go through any of that stress or any of that nonsense. We just simply wait. Waiting is actually very easy if you don't get sucked in by the emotions. By the way, I did a webinar about that on over the previous Sunday. It's not in our library yet. I have to catch up on that stuff, but it will be soon. So if you're a free member, you'll be able to see that webinar if you missed it. All right, so that's AMD. Let's see what else we have here, okay? Kev, REGN as a position trade. Okay, let's see. REG. Oh, yeah, I think Andrew mentioned this one. Oh, yeah, okay, perfect. Look at this. So this is hated, right? Regeneron, hated. That's a hated stock. When it gets hammered like that, especially when the S&P is on highs, no one's liking this stock. Money's flowing out of it. Okay, great. That's what we want to see, first of all. That doesn't mean we just step in front of it. Now, let me see here. Yeah, so your question is, I don't mind exiting and re-entering. Is that too risky in this position? All right, so as far as a position trade, see, here's the thing with position trades. They're more like an investment, right? The way to manage risk with a position trade is through sizing. So the idea, that's why we always say, for position trades, you take a small bite, because if you get caught in one of these, it's really not going to hurt that much, okay? I mean, at this point, why would you bang out the low? I mean, this could be the low, or maybe it's going to go lower. The question is, how much lower can it go? Can it reasonably go? You're at a support right now, right? An old resistance that dates back to March, right over here. What is that? 512? 512, around there, right? 484, around there. So you're in that area now. So that's a potential low. There's no buy signal there right now, but this is definitely a bad place to bang it out, okay, for one, because there's a good chance that this thing reverses over here, although there's no sign of it yet. If it breaks below that, you're looking at this area here, 424. So the question you have to ask is, how comfortable would you be if, you watch this position go to 424? Would you be like, man, that sucks? I would not be comfortable at all. If that's the case, then you're going to have to use this level as your risk gauge. So if it can't pop up here and it breaks this support and closes lower, then perhaps you exit and see what happens. But if it reverses not too far after that, you should be prepared to get back in. But if it's a position trade, you should be small enough to where it shouldn't really hurt that much going, for those low 420s. Maybe one other idea to consider is, instead of blowing out the whole position, perhaps you just reduce your position size. So if you bought, let's say you bought 100 shares, you get rid of like 25 shares. If it breaks lower, all right, and if it goes lower and lower, you just, lighten up on it until it finds stability. You can always buy those shares back. So at least if it turns out of nowhere, some news comes out overnight and thing is up 20 points, you're still in part of it. Okay, it's better than having nothing and be like, why did I bang it out at the bottom? All right, so keep that in mind. What's going to protect you, again, is your size. If you're too big, right, this is where those situations where people get too big too fast, and then they get caught in this, and then if it goes here, they get margined out. You don't want to be stuck in that. So those are some ideas to consider. Again, I don't know how many shares you have. If you have 100 shares or more than, you can always buy a put as well. Puts are probably going to be very expensive on something like this because of this price and because of the way that things are moving. So it's kind of an expensive insurance, but that's another way to hedge the position if it makes you uncomfortable, okay, especially for a position trade. Okay, so HS, XRP. She wants to see XRP. Let's take a look. XRP, USD. Right, so again, just on those position trades, they require a lot of patience. Keep that in mind. Like Andrew was long a lot of those energy stocks like VLO and all that stuff, and they were just, remember Marathon Petroleum? I know Alice remembers that one. Just getting hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered. And now they're like, wow, can't believe Marathon Petroleum, what a big winner. So you have to just be patient with them. And the only thing that can help you be patient with them is being in a position that's comfortable, or that doesn't make you uncomfortable. An uncomfortable position makes you a weak hand, okay, and more likely to bang it out on it for emotional reasons. Okay, so XRP. Now, XRP, like I mentioned before, is in a range, okay? The high of the range is 68 cents. The low of the range is this 45 cents. And you're right in the middle. Lousy candle today, right? Took out some lows from previous days. And again, it's following the Bitcoin lead. So there's nothing to do here. The things that I would be looking for one, is a test of the support in that 45-cent area. Of course, I'd want to see Bitcoin doing something similar. And if I'm going to take a buy signal, or if I were to take a buy signal on something like this, I need to see it in Bitcoin also. If there's a buy signal in XRP and there's no buy signal in Bitcoin, I don't care what XRP is doing because it's a follower. It's not a leader. So that's something to keep in mind there. So that 45-cent area is your higher probability area. It's possible that you get a higher low in in the 50-cent area. What is that? Yeah, around 50 cents. But you have to keep in mind, it's in the middle of the range. Price action's highly random there. So I would be careful. Remember, when you get these dramatic moves and you get a lot of new people up pile into these things, they're all stuck in it now, right? And then if Bitcoin pulls back and this thing breaks its support, all these people are going to bang it out. You don't want to get caught in that either. Now, on the flip side, for the bullish scenario, if we want to get involved in this thing, again, Bitcoin needs to lead the way. What you need to see is a breakout, consolidation breakout. So you want to see a close above 68 cents. Okay, and at that point you have to find a way to measure your risk. Like if this low right now becomes a higher low, 55 cents, then you're looking at measuring your risk from something like that. Maybe 50 cents would be where your stop goes if it's a swing trade, and that's where you'd be looking for that breakout. I'm not a big fan of those type of trades, but if Bitcoin's going to run, that's the level that needs to be cleared, and you're likely to get that run. Okay, as long as Bitcoin doesn't fake out, you can look for this thing to push, at least break this high. What is that? 79 cents, and go to the next, area of resistance, which, looking back, can be, let's see, up in this area here, which is basically in the low 90s. Okay, low 90-cent area, which dates back to May of what, 2019? Yeah, something like that. So that would be your next area to look for on XRP. Again, Bitcoin needs to follow, lead or confirm that. Okay, so thanks for bringing that up again. HS, I hope you found that helpful. Okay, so Kev, nice call. Thanks, Kev. Yeah, Groupon worked out great. Groupon was a nice one. Again, you saw what it looked like when we called it, right? So that's what we're looking for. That one keeps repeating its cycles, or the range-bound play. Right, okay. NYCB. So Kev, NYCB, that's a banking stock from New York, and that was something that I've talked about, but we never actually sent out an official idea. I bought some options on it that were super cheap. The thing is, DJ bought some options too. He bought the $10 calls. I bought the $12 calls, which was not a great idea, but I bought like a lot of time. I mean, they were 10 cents. They were 5 cents. I mean, actually I paid 10 cents and 5 cents for the options, and they basically went to worthless, but I have so much time in them because I was anticipating if there's a pop, right, in this thing, those options can go from 0 to like 25 to 30 cents of profit. Hey, I'll take that on a lot of contracts. Why not? So it was a very high risk trade, but high risk in terms of chances are it was not going to turn into anything. So whatever you paid for it was probably going to go out the window. But I mean, I had less than $100, in that thing. So if that thing goes above 12, and I still have a few months for that thing to do it, and it's close, then that option, which is worthless right now, could become worth something. Okay. Yeah. Again, so Kev, it was no big deal. It was a very risky play. Very risky play. Benny, it just followed your trade idea without a stop loss. Benny, which one are you talking about? AMD? Because, all right, yeah, I'm not sure which trade idea you're referring to, because, I know we have a few. But if you're in it, like I said, at this point, it would be a good idea to maybe trim some out, lock some profit if you have not done so, and then see where it goes from here. Let it ride. There's no need to close the whole position because, it's winning, right? It's a winner. There's no sell signal in it right now. You got through that nonsense from the other day. Let it run. That's the thing. When you have something running, you're never going to get the exact top. But in order to get a broader move, when it's not giving you a reason to sell, you just, you let it run. But the idea behind that is to lock some in. It doesn't matter where it is. If I see a vertical price, people say, but what if it goes higher? Who cares? Lock something in, because I can't tell you how many times you don't lock it in and it gives the whole thing back, right? And you had a chance to take something off the table. So you sell, if you have 100 shares, you sell 30 shares. Sell something small. At least you locked something in and you capitalized on the herd that's there buying it now. Okay, cool. Christian. Okay, bought it 3,000. Okay, let's take a look. Cardano against Bitcoin. So you bought it at 3,000. So let's see. 3,000. Why don't I see that number on here? Bitcoin. Do I have the right thing here, or maybe is it reverse? Is it? No, I got this right. Yeah. Well, based on this chart, this is a nice move, but you have to understand something with these coins. Right, so this is Cardano in terms of Bitcoin, and the problem with these is they're kind of, a lot of times they're just range bound. They don't really do anything. So if you're in from a good price, there's no trend here. Okay, this is just range bound. You would need ADA to appreciate faster than Bitcoin appreciates. Oh, okay, 0.00003. Where the hell is that? Let me see. Is that all the way? Is that all the way up here? Maybe my chart just doesn't have enough data on it. Let me see if I could find it against. No, it must be the only one. What exchange did you buy it on? Let's see. Maybe that'll give me more information. I don't know, but all I can tell you is this: on something like this, if you're in it, you just have to hope for the best, because this chart doesn't really give us much. There's no trend. It broke this resistance over here, but again, this is a function of Bitcoin and ADA. So, like I said, ADA needs to do something spectacular. On Bittrex, all right, let's see if I could look up the chart on Bittrex, just so I can give you a more accurate. Let's see. A more accurate analysis. So Bittrex. Okay, all right, so here's a more complete chart. Okay, much better. All right, so now here's the thing. Let's take a look. Let's look back a bit here. So if we're going to use technical analysis to help us with something like this, right now, so look, previously going up to August, ADA peaked, okay, against Bitcoin. And now here you are, you pulled back, you have this failed low, you took this out. That's a good technical sign right there that you took out that resistance. But now you have this that you're dealing with right here, the October high, which is what, 0951. So right now you're range bound. I wouldn't call this a bearish trend. I wouldn't call this, I mean, broad wise, this broader bullish structure, we can argue, is still in play, right? This move right here is still in play, and you've corrected it, and you found a support, and now you have the initial move. So the bullish trend may be taking over, may be reasserting itself, but at this moment, there would be nothing to do here. I wouldn't buy more. I would wait for the breakout. Okay, on something like this, wait for the breakout. Let it close above here, and that will confirm that the bullish trend is now reasserting itself. If ADA is going to appreciate faster than Bitcoin. But a lot of times these things are very noisy, so you really need to wait for broad moves and significant levels to get taken out. I would not use candlestick analysis on these things, or I wouldn't use very refined analysis, because it's too much of a mess. Okay, so watch for this level here, that 0951 or 0950. You need to close above that, and I would look for a continuation. Perhaps you want to add a bit there, but don't go crazy with these, because again, these are highly speculative. Okay, if you're gonna, you want to really put on something, find a good quality stock, and we got plenty of those. Your money is much better off there than in something like this. So, if you have a small amount of money, you don't care about it, okay, fine. These things could be a home run, but you don't know. A chart's not going to help us determine that. I mean, look at stocks like, coins like, what was a recent one? Let's see, Neo. I mean, let's go to Neo USD. Why am I getting this chart? No, that's not it. Neo USDT. Okay, oh, because I spelled it wrong. That's why. I'm like, what is up with that? Okay, so look, on something like this, right? Neo. They try to have these runs, and then they turn to garbage. So this is not a great place to put money. There's just so many better opportunities with real potential of companies that offer real products. Speaking of Neo, here's the real Neo, right? The car maker. This is where you want to get stuff. You want to get involved with something like that. That's a winning stock right there. Okay. Even though it's highly speculative, they're the #1 competitor to Tesla. I mean, come on, they're doing something right. So anyway. So thanks for that question. I hope that answers. So your question is when to get out of that ADA. Just right now, I'd give it a chance, because I said that the bullish structure is starting to develop again. So if it takes out, here, let me go back to that chart. If it takes out the support, as far as getting out and taking a loss, let's go back to that chart. Let me get it back on here. Okay, right. So on a situation like this, use this lower support, right, as your decision point. If price closes below that, just what 0713, or if you want to just give it some more room and say, I'll give it the extreme. That would be this area here. If it pushes the low, I mean, you bang it out and take the loss. That's not the greatest place to take the loss because it could be the bottom. It could give you a double bottom, something like over here. But the thing is, you have to choose a point, right? So if you want to be more conservative with it, I'd say, okay, this point, the 0713 area, closes below that, just get out of it and see if it finds stability if you want to get back in. That's what I would do with that. But with this initial move in place, I would be looking for the high of this consolidation to be taken out. So, no reason to bang it out just yet. All right, I would give it that chance at least. Okay, anyway, so good question there. All right, let me see what else we have here. Okay, can you take a look at XSPA? Sure, boss, let's see. XSPA. How am I doing with time? Because I like to talk too much. Let's see here. Okay, I'm not doing bad. Espresso, oh yeah, someone brought this up a while back. And we haven't done anything with it. Wow, this is what we like to see. Like to see these type of situations. Look at this. I like this a lot. You have a failed low, a very broad failed low. The stock, no one's paying attention to it right now. Okay, I can tell by this lousy price action. It's just going lower, lower, and lower. Okay, good. So we can still argue that this broad structure is still in play, right? And you're just basically seeing the bottom of the correction, right? It's been a very long and tedious consolidation, just like we saw with Nikola, just like we saw with Groupon. So this is a nice candidate. Now let's look at today's price action. We had a pin bar, basically a failed low yesterday, took out that high today, and this thing is what, $1.46? Wow, that's cheap. So this is a buy signal, actually. This would be a buy signal. Now, obviously when this thing gets on everyone's radar is when you'll see any kind of dramatic move. This could be the beginning. So there's a couple of ways you could go about this. I think we talked about this. They have options. This would be a great one for cheap options. 6 months out, don't buy less than 6 months. The confirmation at this point would be a break of that resistance, which is basically $1.77. So we could say, just to give it a round number, like $1.80, right? You close above $1.80, this thing is clearing a resistance. Remember, something that's strong doesn't break, something that is weak does not break resistances. Now that's a minor resistance, it's not a major one, but it's a start, okay? The significant resistance it needs to clear is this level right here, which is what? $2.71. So if it clears that, then it's probably on its way to being more spectacular. Just have to be careful with these because, like I said, when they pop up on the day trader radar, they go nuts. And you need to be in it before it does that, number one. Number two, if it does it or when it does it, you need to be getting out on that move, okay? Just like these situations back here. It starts to go nuts, and if you hold on to it thinking, oh, this thing is going to go to $20, it gives it back, right? Same back here in June, goes nuts, gives it back. So that's typical of these type of stocks. But great location, great setup, and it's got confirmation. It's got some confirmation. So, one thing, you either wait for like that $1.80 break if you want to buy some. I'm going to look into the options on this one. All right, this one might, like I said, deep out of the money, maybe the $5, maybe something like that option, 6 months out. If it's cheap, like $1 or lower than $1 or something, I may be very open to that. Again, you need to buy a lot of time on these things because they waste a lot of time. Okay, and when they have their move, that move can occur over, a few days, which is that's all you need. But all that other time, you need all that other time to wait for that move. Nice thing about options too is your risk is predefined. And you don't have to worry about a stop. You just either that option is going to be a winner or it's not. It's very simple. Okay, so I like it. Definitely keep an eye on that one. Thanks for bringing that one up. Targets, by the way, for something like that. Again, if it goes vertical, your next resistance is like 4.5. Okay, if once it clears 271, you're looking at 4.5. So there's plenty of potential there, considering where it is right now. All right, so let's see. Good question. Let me see. HS. Also, what platform do you recommend for resident for stock, for US resident for stocks, and all other assets you guys use on your channel? Okay, good question, HS. I mean, there are a number of brokers out there. You know, we don't have any special deals with any of them, so it's not like, you know, there's no special code that I can give you. But I mean, I use Interactive Brokers. I've had them for a very long time. But they're not exactly the best when it comes to when you need help, or, you know, user friendliness. They're more for like a professional trader that's pretty much on their own. Although they've gotten better over the years, you know, that's been my experience with them. Like I said, I've had them for a very long time. But the nice thing about Interactive Brokers, yeah, they're pretty low. Their fees are low. And they offer all markets. I mean, you have to pay for some feeds or whatever, but you could trade pretty much anything on Interactive Brokers, which is nice. You could trade, you know, stocks, forex, futures, options, warrants, bonds. I mean, they got everything on there. So that's a nice thing. Also, TD Ameritrade is pretty decent. The only thing I don't like about TD Ameritrade, you know, they all recently either lowered their commissions or completely got rid of them, depending on who it is, you know, after Schwab has done that. So something like TD Ameritrade is okay. The only thing I don't like about their platform is there's too much stuff on it. There's a lot. They just basically threw everything in there and said, well, you know, the more stuff, the better, right? So it's very retail oriented. I mean, it's as bad as they have a widget for CNBC right on the platform. You can't get any worse than that, okay? As far as instilling reactive trade behavior. CNBC widget right on the platform. So you turn off your TV and it still comes up on your platform. I was like, what is this nonsense? So, you know, that's the thing with TD Ameritrade. But other than that, yeah, they're okay. But as far as fees go, I know I make fun of Robinhood all the time, but they're not bad if you know what you're doing. You know, they have no fees and all that kind of stuff. So it depends on how active you're going to be too. If you're going to be a day trader, then you're still going to have to deal with some fees. All right, so I would suggest to look into those two: Interactive Brokers, TD Ameritrade. One of those, yeah, okay. And as far as Forex, we use MyFX Choice, like Forex and CFDs. They're great. What I like about MyFX Choice is you can use we use our Litecoin. We actually trade Litecoin against the euro. We use Litecoin, so we can actually put our Litecoin to work. That's nice to be able to do that. You can do it with a few different currencies like that. Okay, so that's more for like Forex and CFDs. All right, so good question there. Let's see. Okay, Jay, no problem. Okay, cool. Okay, what about, thanks for stopping by, Jay. Okay, what about ticker U? Let's take a look. U. What's the story with U? Unity Software. Well, okay, well, I can tell you right off the bat, obviously this is a relatively new stock. Been out a few months. You can't touch this. Okay, I mean, first of all, nice structure. This is good, but wouldn't touch this thing here. Needs to pull back. So all we can do at this point, when you see something like this, first thing you should say, okay, where's my support? Where's my resistance? I can argue that there's support around here somewhere. $100, 102. That makes sense with the whole number. You can argue that there's possible support there, an old resistance around 118. Now up here, this is that little support that popped up recently, 138, whatever. That's a tough one because I would say that's minor, right? It's only touched it one time. We don't know much about it. So, I mean, if it can give you a failed low situation like there, okay, if you're into a swing trade, I would be open to that. But you have to be careful because if this goes into a consolidation, you may start pushing into those low 120s. As far as other resistance goes, I mean, you have this high over here, which it's trying to break out. You know, I don't like these breakouts, especially this thing's been this thing's been moving very swiftly. There's going to be a lot of longs in it. Not a big fan of this. I'd rather buy a support than try to buy that breakout. Now, unless, you're a day trader or you're very nimble, and if it breaks out, you're quick about getting out of it if it does not follow through. But if you get stuck in it, you're looking at a lot of potential pullback there. I would wait for the pullback, see if it can deliver that. That's what I'd say about you. There's been some amazing things going on here with stocks. Like you just bring it up. I think of Uber. Look at Uber. What the hell's going on with this? I mean, you can't touch that, right? What about Pinterest? What is that? Pinterest? What pins, right? Pins? Is that the symbol for Pinterest? Yeah. Well, that's on its high there. There's some other ones like Lyft has been going nuts. I mean, wow. You know, unbelievable, unbelievable. You see, what's that one called? The exercise one. I can't think of it right now. Lulu. I mean, look at this. Well, that thing's not going through its highs just yet, but this thing just a month ago, this thing was like $100 lower. It's crazy. All right. Anyway, let me see what other questions we have here. Okay. So, can you share a referral link? Oh, HS. Well, I don't have the referral. We don't have any referral links for Interactive Brokers. Like I said, we don't have any deals with them, or TD Ameritrade. So you just could just go on your own and whatever. We don't get any credit for that. We do have one with MyFX Choice. We use them, but we do have a referral link. I don't have that on me right now. So you can ask Andrew in our chat room. He can share that with you if you want to check them out. If you use them, we do get something for that. We get some kind of finder's fee or something for that. It's not much, but okay. Let's see, Kev. TD Ameritrade has so much garbage. Oh yeah, right. But you're right. So and that's the good thing, right? If you can just ignore the garbage and all that, they threw everything into this platform, and it's so unnecessary. But again, that's what the average trader wants. They think more is better, so they think a platform with all kinds of stuff in it has a lot of value. But it's mostly nonsense. It's mostly nothing but noise, and it stimulates trades, which is great for the broker. Okay, but they since they've foregone commissions, you know how they make money these days is the money sitting in your account earns interest, and they keep that, right? That's how Robinhood does it. That's Robinhood makes tons of money off of your interest, and Schwab and everyone else had to copy them. So anyway. Yeah. So, but their platform, again, it's not a horrible platform. Just have to get through the noise. And Interactive Brokers, they have their share of nonsensical stuff as well. They have their platform with too much stuff in it, but that's what their customers want. All right, fine. Yeah, I don't have a link for Interactive Brokers. So anyway, but yeah, just check them out. And they have offices all over the world. So you could definitely, they're a very reputable broker. Like I said, I've had them for a very, very long time. Okay. So anyway, all right, I think I've answered everyone's questions. I think I'm over talking. I can feel it. Let me see. How am I doing with time? Okay, I'm going to add an hour. I can tell when I'm at an hour. I'm like, okay, I've gone over the over talking threshold. All right, so do we have any other questions? Okay, I usually do this stream on Thursdays, so I apologize for not being able to do it yesterday. And I will do one next week as well. Remember, we have Talking Markets with Mark and Andrew on Tuesdays, and we're trying to make some more improvements on that show. So hopefully you like what we're doing so far, but we definitely want to take that to new places as well. So I'll leave you with the Nasdaq. Looks like it closed up 35 points on a Friday. I mean, after a not so great NFP. That's a pretty resilient market. But like we said, we looked at a bunch of those stocks, Qualcomm and AMD and the semiconductor index and energy is obviously having an effect on this, but that can turn quickly. So don't be fooled. Okay? Sure, HS, what's your question? Please ask. And by the way, if you're new to Greenbridge, please make sure to press the like button if you like the video that I'm doing. And please register as a subscriber for the channel. So every time I do one of these or we do Talking Markets, you get an email notification from YouTube. Plus, we have a 7-day free trial over at greenbridgeinvesting.com. All right, we have a swing trade signal service by text, by email, portfolio management ideas, and a chat room. Many of the people in here are in our chat room. So they get a lot of insight, a lot of analysis. You can ask questions in there. We have a free chat room as well. And if you sign up as a free member, we do share trade of the week, okay, every Tuesday after our show or every Wednesday whenever I can get that email out. Like some of our, here's a recent trade of the week, right? We sent this out a few weeks ago. Has this thing reached second target? Let's see, today's high, look, 97.19, target 2 was 93.50. So we're on our way to target 3 on Fastly. Wow. Remember when everyone got stopped out of this thing? Wow. Nice. But this is what I mean about why we have targets. See this nonsense with that pin bar? Okay. Anyway, that was a trade of the week. Okay. So let's see. HS. Are there any that you have on your radar for long-term investment and great potential for profit? That's a good question. So for those of you that don't know, we have a Bitcoin, we have a portfolio. We've spent since 2018, our objective, because it was in the portfolio was in the red, just like everyone else's. We spent all that time rotating out of a lot of these garbage coins into Bitcoin. And we did that for a reason, because we saw that's pretty much where the fundamental value was. So to answer your question, any great for potential for profit? I mean, look, these what I have to say about altcoins is they're all pretty much lottery tickets. Okay, like look, SXP USD, right? Remember Swipe? Look at this. Look at that. So that's if these things had merit and these things had workable products and all this other stuff, I'd look at a chart like this and I'd say, oh, it's hated right now. There's some opportunity in there. But the thing is, these are hated for a reason. They don't move on their own, for one. They need Bitcoin to lead. And with Bitcoin at such a strong lead right now, and these things are struggling, means no one cares about these. It means that, software developers are just basically taking that money and buying fancy cars with it. So, to answer your question, no, I don't have any specific altcoins. The ones that we like are Monero, as far as, because it's been an outperformer, not at these prices, of course, but look at this chart. Okay, that's what a chart should look like. Strong. Wait for a buying opportunity in Monero. Litecoin isn't bad. We like Litecoin, but not at these prices. Got to wait for a better price. Ethereum too. Ethereum. Let's see, what do we have? We have Ethereum. Let me pull up an Ethereum chart here for you. And I mean, that's another good one. So if you're going to stick, if you want to invest for long term, you want to stick to the names that make sense. I mean, look, Ethereum, bad area right now, but so the real question, HS, is, find the quality ones, which are obvious, right? Ethereum, Litecoin, Monero. You find the charts that following Bitcoin, or Bitcoin, but not at these prices. For long term, you have to wait for hated prices. You have to wait for extreme prices. They don't always come. They're rare. An extreme price on something like Ethereum would be back in the 440s. Hard to believe it would go back there. But those are the places where you want to take your small bites for what we like to call inventory, right? But when that is taking place, here's Bitcoin. When those situations are taking place, there's usually some very, very negative news in the market. No one has any confidence in these things usually at that time. Okay, just like, back in March, Bitcoin was, getting hammered at 3K. This is what you want to see when you want to buy for the long term as an investment. You need to see something like this. At this time, as many members in our chat can tell you, we were buying after some stability developed, but we were not afraid to step into this. People were saying Bitcoin was going to 1,500. It was going to 1,000. All this negative news. It can't recover. China, blah, blah, blah. The miners can't, blah, blah, blah. All this nonsense. You have to ignore it, because when things are going like this, you have to believe in the asset and say, this is a great price. I have to step in front of it. You do it small. But that's what I'm telling you. That's the real question that you should be asking, as far as, are there any individual coins? No. Most of them are garbage. Most of them are going to go to zero. Find the ones that, are leading right now and wait for them to be hated. Okay, it can take 3 months. It could take longer. But when those prices come, we'll let you know, because we'll be stepping into it, because that's what we do. Okay, and it's worked. We've done it since March. People criticize. I'm not since March. We've done it since 2018. People criticize us. I can't tell you how many times I was criticized for our averaging into Bitcoin. And now the thing's at 20K and our average price is like 6K. Okay, you know how many people, there was one moron in particular who was saying stuff like, oh, if you listen to these guys, you'll never make money. They bought some at 12K, and then they bought some at 8K, and now it's at 5K, blah, blah, blah. Well, now it's at 20K. Okay, so that's what I mean. You can't go buy that stuff. You have to believe in the product. And Bitcoin, obviously, all the institutions are pouring their money in now. We were ahead of that. Okay, so all right, that's my very long answer, HS. Very long answer because you know I talk too much. All right, so that's enough. I'm going to stop talking now. Any other questions? HS is like, okay, I'm not going to ask any more questions like that. That answer was way too long, and he's still talking. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. Again, you know, keep an eye on this Bitcoin. If it starts taking out that 18.5 level again, look for the pullback. We're looking for swing trades right now. You know, once it gets to our levels that are attractive. Other than that, enjoy your Friday, enjoy your Saturday and Sunday. We'll be back at it on Monday. If you have any questions, please, you can come to our free chat room, ask us in there, or again, we have a 7-day free trial. Try us out, ask us questions in there, see the stuff that we share each day by text, by email, and you know, all that. Okay? So again, greenbridgeinvesting.com. Thank you all again for joining me and for your great participation and all your great questions. And I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.